Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. This is so exciting. We are on Prepathon 2024, day 2, y'all. Thanks for being here. Super excited to get this rolling. I love the smiley faces popping up. I love it, you guys. This is one of my favorite events of all year, and it is for you too, I'm sure. We are on day 2. Yesterday, we had some amazing material. If you missed it, you can catch the recording. We did UI, UX. Yes, we did. We also did a session on performance. We did live SEO. Optimization. Can you believe it? And today, you're here now. This is the moment. 2024. This is the day. You are here. We've got a lot for you today. Evolving demand generation approach. So that's going to be the first one. Let me just tell you about that. And we also have live LinkedIn profile makeovers. Super exciting. Get your LinkedIn ready for that. We have preparing your e-commerce store for the holiday season. Oh, don't we know about the holiday season? It's a coming, folks. Seems like it's only September, but it's a coming. I know you know that. So we're going to get started today. I'm super excited. Glad to be with you all again. This is so great. We have the most amazing panel coming up. I have to say, you guys, it is wonderful to run panels. It is wonderful to be talking about our industry, but today is extra special because I know all 3 of these people, and you're going to know them soon. These people have a special place in our heart. They're special to Cloudways. They are special to this industry. These are leaders of our industry. Today, we have Aaron Carpenter coming in with 1,000,000 years of experience, more like 15, but it's a lot, right? Aaron Carpenter is a phenomenal human being. Not only is he calm and kind, he's ridiculously intelligent, y'all. He runs a digital agency for mental health, and he's a phenomenal person and mentor at UGURUS. So, Aaron, thank you for being here. So glad to have you. Yay!
Glad to be here.
It. Oh, I love all the clapping hands going up. Thank you, audience. Love that. We also have the brilliant Abby Wood. She's the founder of the Content Lab, and she works with digital agencies to produce content that, yes, brings in demand and converts demand, and also is just beautifully written and enjoyable to read. So, Abby, thank you for being here. Thank you for all of your service to digital agencies through UGURUS and otherwise. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Jen. Looking forward to this.
Yay, wonderful. And last but definitely not least, with 24 years of experience, you're not going to be able to tell because he looks quite young. We have Jeff Couret. Jeff Couret comes from New Orleans, or at least lives in New Orleans, which is a very cool place to live, folks. He is a SEO specialist and also a phenomenal human, wonderful father. I've been with him in Costco, y'all. See, this is what's so special about Cloudways and Prepathon is we are bringing together experts who have been in this industry a very long time to help you all to move forward. So we're going to be taking some questions in the chat, but mostly we've got a lot of stuff prepared for you all today. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for your service to digital agencies. You're all mentors at UGURUS, which is huge. Thank you very much. And let's get started. Y'all ready?
Sounds good.
Let's go.
Okay. All right. I'm so excited. I want to look at the chat. I want to see. Oh, yes, we got chat. Yay! I love it. Thank you for all those beautiful comments. It's like fuel to the excitement. Yay! Thank you. There we go. Love it. Okay, so let's get started, you guys. Demand generation approach. That's what we're talking about today. We know this world is shifting. It's just what humans do. It's what the world does. And our industry is a newer industry, right? We have not been around for thousands of years. Yes, communicating with other human beings has been. And yes, this is a version of that. But want to talk about this rethinking this traffic solution myth, right? I want to get into this idea of addressing core business issues, looking at traffic. And here we go. You ready? Traffic alone doesn't guarantee revenue growth. Right? We know that. You can have all the traffic in the world and still be sitting on your hands wondering what's going on. How can business shift their focus from merely driving the traffic to addressing the underlying issues that impact revenue, right? Aaron, I'm going to throw this one to you first.
Yeah, sure. Well, one of the primary things that we've found at Mental Health Marketing has really change the bottom line without it having anything to do with traffic is by working on support assets for our clients. And when I talk with other agencies about how to improve customer retention, if you're on a reciprocal model, like you charge them month to month for services, imagine if your average lifetime span of a client is 6 months and you have 100 active clients. If you could increase that 6 months to 12, you've just doubled your bottom line. And that might come from an asset like, here's how we recommend a client that you follow up through email with leads, or here's how we recommend that you close, like in sales, close those leads after we've warmed them up in marketing for you. So if you can empower your clients to do that, and they love that from you and want to stick around for twice as long, you've effectively doubled your business and in the amount of time it takes to make that one asset. So that can have a huge impact on your bottom line.
Yeah, I love that. Phenomenal, right? Like,
I would
absolutely.
love to jump in on this one. 100%. And so, yeah, I think traffic is great. It's absolutely great. But there's no use in getting traffic if it's not converting. And as a copywriter by trade, you know, kind of I'm all about conversion copy and positioning and differentiation. So, you know, kind of it does all come back to that. You know, what makes you stand out? What makes you unique? Are you living and breathing that through every single aspect of your brand? You know, kind of does your website sell your brand experience? And if it doesn't, clients will end up coming to you. Yes, maybe, but will they stay if they've been sold an experience that doesn't really line up with expectations? So yeah, definitely, yeah. Make sure that your communication is consistent, to say the least.
I love it. I love it. Jeff, thoughts on this?
Yeah, unfortunately, there have been some situations where we have lost clients because, even though we have increased their traffic significantly to their website, that traffic doesn't always convert and turn into leads and sales. So if we can't figure out both sides of that equation, it's a problem, right? So back in the day, we used to focus primarily on getting the clients more traffic, but we've realized that that's just not enough. So we do need to help them figure out how to convert those leads, and more importantly, turn those into new customers for them.
I love this, you guys. So that's really, really brilliant. So the traffic is one thing, yes. And, we do find in working with digital agencies daily that there is this huge focus on lead generation, demand generation. Like everybody feels that's the golden goose. And what the three of you have just said is really beautiful. If what you are bringing them in on isn't their experience throughout, right? It's no good. If what you're bringing them in on and the experience doesn't last more than 2 months, then we're just chasing our tail all the time, right, Aaron? And then this idea, Jeff, specifically the fact that you do SEO for agencies and others, like your company can't last if they don't do something with the traffic you generate. Yeah, you guys,
Exactly.
this is good. Do you guys have an example? That's kind of an example right there, but do you guys have any examples of this, like changing that mindset and what that might look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I can give you an example of a company that we were helping with their brand positioning and their general brand messaging and stuff. So it was a fantastic construction company, and their whole approach was white glove service. And so the entire website sold this luxurious experience of, kind of going above and beyond for customers. So we were managing to convert the actual website traffic into sales inquiries, and didn't result in more sales. It was kind of like, okay, what's going on there? Okay, there's obviously something not connecting right there. Turns out that sometimes they just weren't answering their phones. And sometimes when they were answering the phones, the admin staff were incredibly rude and weren't giving the same level of service that people had bought into. They were expecting someone friendly and very kind of, very approachable. But what they got instead was kind of a standoffish, very cold approach. So yeah, I think, getting the traffic to you is one thing. Ensuring that you are, delivering on service, will make sure that we can avoid those feast and famine cycles of, okay, yeah, I have this new client, they're going to stick with me for one project, and then I have to just continually get new clients because they're just not sticking around.
Love it. And you guys, we're going to go on to this next thought, but I have forgot to tell everybody what's coming up today. So I just want to make sure I let you guys know. I did tell everybody, but I do want to make sure you get ready for that LinkedIn, right? That's coming. And we do have some other presentations. So next question, you guys, demand generation and demand capture, right? So generating awareness right? So demand, generating demand in the world, right? In your market, right? And then there's the concept of demand capture, of the demand is already there, right? How do we capture it and turn it into clients, right? So I want to talk about that because there's a balance and there's a time for one, there's a time for the other, and there's a time for the combination, right? But how does balancing demand generation and demand capture directly influence a company's revenue growth? What strategies are you guys finding most effective, not only for yourselves, but for your clients?
Be specific. Specificity and quality over everything else, hands down, all the time, all day, every day, nonstop. Most of the problem with this right now that I find when I work with other agencies is that they, like a knee-jerk reaction, I think of an entrepreneur is to kind of use the analogy like shotgun blast or wide net. Like I want to show everybody who I can help. And the way I articulate this typically is, all right, well, let's assume you do that. Let's assume that you do that with that strategy and you get in front of 1,000 people and you convert one versus being way more specific and only getting in front of 50 people, but converting 5. For your time, it's more efficient. For your messaging, it's more efficient. It resonates more with that person. There are so many people in the world, you guys, that like if you're even just targeting a city, there's probably sufficient demand for you to grow your agency. I'm not saying that you should target a specific city. I'm just saying that's just one place to start. Then who in that city are you targeting? The more specific you can get, as long as there's still a market for it, the easier your messaging is going to be. Abby's going to be like, oh my God, if you came to me as a client, you were like, I work with these people on this issue and I solve it this way. She'd be like, amazing. Let me get you that copy because we just skipped discovery, right? So yeah, specificity over everything. Anecdotally, there's a YouTuber that I really like. This person maybe shares a video once every 3 months, but I watch every single one of them from start to finish. And there are other YouTubers that release videos daily and they're like, I need to do content. And this is the same thing with blog posts. I need to post, I need to post, I need to post. What's the point if no one reads it, right? And I would much rather spend 10 hours on an excellent piece than a half hour on a bunch of crappy ones. So that's my 2 cents. Wait, does it? I'd like to kick it to Abby though, because I know that she's probably got thoughts on that, right?
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, 100%. You know, kind of the days of pumping out content nonstop are over. You know, kind of yeah, it's great to produce content, but quality over quantity, 100%. I will say this, for me, a big thing was authority building. So really getting known in that specific niche or industry that you're working with. So that will really help both demand generation and demand capture. So as you are building authority, you get known as the go-to expert in that niche. It makes the sales process a hell of a lot shorter. And it's just the inbound leads definitely increase and the quality is higher. Whereas, you know, if you're consistently having to prove yourself over and over again, sales process longer, more difficult. And kind of as clients see you work with, you know, kind of industry, I hate the word influencers, but champions, influencers, whatever you want to call them, you know, they get a little bit more trust in you as well. So they'll keep coming back for more and more.
love it.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention, and really good thoughts there. Just more specifically on the balance angle. So people hire us, and agencies hire us for SEO to help them deliver SEO to their clients, right? So SEO is great, right? Generating more and more traffic. But what we found in a couple of cases where we were helping them get traffic, but that traffic wasn't necessarily converting in certain cases. So we actually had to put their entire monthly budget toward conversion rate optimization. Now, conversion rate optimization isn't what people would traditionally think of as SEO, but I know if we can't help them figure out their leads and sales issue with this stuff, we're going to end up losing the client. So we will do conversion rate optimization, which I think is more of a demand capture thing, where like traditional SEO would probably be more of a demand generation thing. So that's kind of how we're balancing things in certain cases. So just I think you got to have that good balance. One you can't have one without the other.
So, and on that, like this, how businesses can safeguard their revenue streams while optimizing both. right? What I think that I'm hearing, and what I think that I would advise is you got to be paying attention. Like none of this is you push the button and it goes. Like all of this requires human attention, intelligence. This is where, you know, a lot of us prefer to go to the specialist, right? Abby, you're talking about building authority. You become the specialist. You know that market, you know that industry, right? We go to specialists like Jeff to get to a very, like, this is one part of what our business is going to be doing, to be bringing people in, and we go to the specialist, because this is where I think for safeguarding, y'all, I'm guessing you all will agree. And back to that kind of that shotgun concept of like, just we're going to be specific, and we're going to be watching and intelligent at all times. And I think that's when, especially when it comes to revenue streams and budget, right? We really want our budget to go, well, to be worth it, right? We want the ROI there. We want it to be evident. Any other thoughts on that, how you safeguard?
Just be careful. Just be careful and be aware. And yeah, don't put your head in the sand. Be aware of, you know, and keep an eye on your numbers. I think that helps a lot.
I would say, if you're interested in this topic right now, it's highly likely that you're thinking about how you're going to really push for demand or for conversion. And one of the things that I typically advise businesses to do in general is to pilot test something. So set aside resources, time, coin, whatever it is, to do the thing, but then take like 25% of that and prototype out what you're doing. Prove the results first. On a paid campaign, that can look like as low as $300, $500 a month, something like that, whatever that number is for you. And then once you've proved that it works and you know how you're going to optimize it, then ratchet it up. But dumping everything real quick is a recipe for disaster, because you need to learn and know which direction you're going first before you actually multiply that outcome.
Ooh, I love it. So don't take your eye off the ball, nor off of the end result. The end result is not just to create a whole bunch of demand. The end result is we want to be able to answer that demand profitably, right? Love that. All right, you guys. So this is some good material for everybody watching to be thinking about. And again, I just want to emphasize this idea of none of this is kind of press and play. Like this is all, we are all here, all of us, all the audience, everybody, we're here because we're thinkers, right? We're here because we want to do better, right? And that it fuels the continual iteration of any sort of campaign and any sort of business, right? I want to look at exploring the impact and consideration on marketing strategies, right? So if you guys can shift with me there over to like pricing strategies, yeah? All right. So pricing strategies, and we just touched on this. So Aaron, you've got your mind reader here. Price strategies can make or break demand, right? Efforts, and make or break a company, right? How do you align your pricing approach with your demand generation goals to drive revenue growth?
Oh man, what do you guys want to start with that one?
Yeah,
that's a topic we could start all day on that one.
I personally think it really depends if it's high ticket or low ticket. So
okay.
Yeah, so if it's high ticket, you probably want to hide that pricing until later on in the sales funnel, because it's not really a selling something really expensive isn't really a selling point. So if it's high ticket, probably I don't know how much a high ticket pricing would play into demand generation. But that's probably more of a demand capture on that side. Now, if it's low ticket and the price is a selling point, I would say it's earlier, which maybe you want to mention it during the demand generation very early in the relationship. So that's probably the biggest consideration, whether it's high ticket or low ticket, in my opinion.
Got
That's
it.
a good point. Good point, man. Like usually in discussions around that. So mental health marketing, for context, I very open with people that I talk with, other agencies when I'm working with them, that our thing is that we're a cost leader and we're low ticket, high volume. And the reason for that, the reason I've always, even with Legendary, like our creative agency that works outside of the mental health marketing space, I've always liked that approach as a business approach, because the stress and anxiety as a entrepreneur and an agency owner is vastly reduced when you have 100 clients all paying your bills versus 2. Because if you lose one, that's a nightmare, right? And you got to solve that problem tomorrow to keep revenue rolling. So for me, I enjoy it because I get more hours of sleep every night. But it also has this intrinsic benefit of I'm working with more people more constantly. So the ability to soundboard off of those clients and get multiple same sort of thematic feedback from them in order to evolve what we're delivering also is an advantage. The disadvantage is it's tight. Like your SOP has got to be smooth because the second things start to go off the rails, with a really tight budget and smaller margins across many accounts in order to get the profits that you're looking for, that is the trade-off. So you got to keep your eye on the ball on that. So pricing strategies in terms of low ticket, I can say it's all about your SOP and figuring out how to deliver and solve real problems that produce value to your clients with a minimum amount of overhead. So for teams like mine, you'll see very tight, small, highly efficient teams. Whereas for higher ticket stuff, you tend to see you can see also tight, small teams, but you tend to see larger teams that provide higher firepower across a broader spectrum and more custom types of work. And that has its own challenges. Like I said, I could totally stay on this subject like all day. But basically, I feel like those are the primary differences between the two. And high ticket is a viable way to scale an agency. Low ticket's a viable way to scale an agency. There's no silver bullet. It just depends on like what type of agency you want to build, really.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with Aaron on this one. So there's so many different agency models out there, and there's no kind of one fits all. So my business model would be kind of similar to Aaron's, as in, kind of we have a lot of different clients that send us a lot of work, but it's not high ticket. So obviously we're white label copywriters and content marketers. The idea is that our services are resold by other agencies, so they'll go out and sell the work and we'll deliver it, which is great for me because I just have to bring on more agencies and then they sell it. But I think there's definitely a focus on revenue growth and just general turnover, but I'm a big fan of profit. So profit is more important to me than kind of being like, I know so many agencies that, are kind of multi-million turnovers, and yet their profit margins are awful and they're super stressed and, all of this kind of stuff. Whereas I know plenty of smaller agencies that, although from the outside they're making less, their profit margins are so good that they're a lot less stressed, a lot more comfortable, and they're not as under pressure as kind of larger agencies. But it's definitely a personal choice as to what you prefer. I've worked with some clients that will literally sell one website a quarter, but because it's such a high value ticket, there's plenty of profit there. And then I have some that are literally kind of templating it out and just need to get it out as quick as possible. But yeah, it absolutely kind of depends on if you want to go down the recurring revenue model, or if you want to, kind of really position yourself as kind of a higher value ticket agency.
Yeah, definitely. And in the chat, we've got fans of profit also. Yes. That's why that's one of the main reasons we do this, is to feel really good about the influence we can have in the world. And one of the currencies is definitely money. So love that. In competitive markets, right? So you're out there and you've got, there's new competitors popping up all the time. You've got the competitors you've had since you started, right? How does this consideration phase influence your pricing strategy, and what impact does this have on overall revenue?
These questions are like high-level business questions, basically. This is good stuff. I love this stuff. I eat it up. We've started selling differently. I'll try to describe it succinctly, but I've been advocating for other agencies to start trying to sell this way because I feel like it's highly effective. And I feel like it's relevant to this because we don't really price or sell the same way that traditional agencies do. The traditional way is to basically like do discovery, right? Figure out what your client needs, put together a project plan for them, put it on a timeline, and give it a budget, whatever that budget structure looks like for you. What I found was not great about that is that I often kind of felt like I was playing darts blindfolded. I didn't know what the client had for a budget or what they really had in mind. And they were really cagey. And I'm sure if you've ever done a sales call, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we changed our whole sales process into helping them identify what a reasonable marketing budget per month would be. And then once we dialed in that number, which usually looks like, depending on if they're B2B or B2C, like 5 or 10% of annual revenue per month. Once we dialed in that number, then for our position in their marketing, so if they're a big business, they may have lots of marketing concerns and the website's part of it. Or if they're small, this is going to be everything this year. We would put a project plan together based on our costs, and we would play with time instead. So if your monthly marketing budget on the low end of starting business is like $500 a month, fine, but the project's going to take 6 months or 12 months, right? And if you want to put a down payment on that, then you can. That's up to you, and we can accelerate the timeline. So that's how we sell now. And again, it's all about process, especially with like where my agency spends time. So now we've got logo, website, content, all that stuff down to 1 month time, 4 weeks. So if they want to fast track all of their setup within the first month, they can do that. And that's coin we get upfront. And then we go into monthly reciprocal for paid ads. If they don't want to do that, that's fine. But we just work up to the retainer in small doses throughout those months until we finally get the setup done in 3 months, 6 months, whatever that is, and then do that. And that's a good fit for some people too. The brilliant thing about that is that the pricing works for everybody. Like suddenly that's you've controlled for that. You've eliminated that out of the equation. So now it's just a question of how much coin they have to accelerate what it is that you're doing. And most agencies don't sell that way. So if a client's looking at that, then they're going to compare that against, oh, well, this project's going to take 6 months and cost $10,000. And that's just flat. I don't have any control over that at all. And then they'll look at how you're doing it and they'll be like, well, I want to go with those guys because I can get it done faster and get the same thing. Or obviously there's your own unique spin on what you do and they can only get it from you. But it's big topic for me right now. So I'll try to put a pin in it there, but hopefully that makes sense, guys. And I don't know if you guys are playing with any types of different sales things like that also that kind of, dovetail into that.
And I smile because, we get the privilege of working with Aaron on the daily. So I've heard this, and Aaron, you've taught us classes on this at UGURUS, and I'm so grateful, and I'm so grateful that you can bring it here to this large audience of Cloudways. So I love to hear it. Abby, what are you thinking about?
Can I hop in real quick?
Yeah, please.
Just a real quick, and Abby, you can follow me up. But I just wanted I was doing some research on Prepathon, and I feel like we're kind of answering these questions from a digital marketing agency owner perspective, and for digital marketing agency owners. So people who are watching, can you say in chat what kind of business you have? Because I saw they were also marketing this event to e-commerce business owners and like general business owners. So I just kind of want to get a vibe for like what kind of business owners we have here, just so we can answer the questions in a way that would help you guys most.
I love that. Fantastic.
Web design agency. We got to see. We have some B2B e-commerce. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
White label
Okay.
WordPress agency.
Okay.
B2B e-commerce. Okay. Web design. Okay.
So we got a
Right.
mix of
Agency. Real
e-commerce.
estate software. There we go. Web design.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I could
Well,
jump
that's
in on
helpful.
this one as well. Yeah, thanks for that, Jeff. That's really helpful. Now I can kind of tailor the old answers. So for me, I'm going to go back to authority building. During the consideration phase, for me, I find that pricing isn't a question. So because kind of established as the go-to content agency for web designers and digital agencies, I tend not to, it's not really an issue. Like they're not like, oh, that's really expensive, or oh, that's really cheap, or it's just like, that is what it is. I'm going to resell it to my clients. I have had a couple of agencies that approached me, kind of we were outside of their budget, and instead they just referred their clients directly to us because they knew that we would do a fantastic job. So, kind of, I think once you're known for doing great work and you're known for kind of being the go-to, then it's not so much, you're not competing on pricing anymore. You're competing on who's going to be best at the work, which really helps in competitive markets because it's no longer the race to the bottom. It's not who's the cheapest, it's who's the best, which is obviously going to help revenue and profit margins.
Yeah, and we've all experienced this, that everybody talks about return on investment, and we've been talking a lot about value on investment for years now, of what's the value on this the investment on the money somebody's going to put into the promise that they're buying, right? And what's the value? And as we all know, because we're human, if you could buy the same cup of rice milk from somebody who's really mean to you and it's hot and it's not good versus somebody who's really nice to you and here's the milk in a good temperature, like this, it matters. The brand matters, the people matter. And to Abby's point of becoming an authority and the go-to people, you really can't do that if you don't have some great value on investment strategy. Right. So, and we all do know that if this cup of rice milk is 70 times more expensive than this one, we're still going to go for the bad one, right? Because money does matter, right? So thank you all for that. Are we ready to, are we good on this topic for this moment? Are we thinking we're ready? Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
I think so.
Okay. Frequency, the role of frequency, and how do we optimize it when we're talking about demand generation efforts? All right. So we're working on creating demand, generating demand, right? In the context of revenue growth, right? So growing your company, growing the revenue of your company, right? How do you determine the optimal frequency for demand generation campaigns to maximize impact without diminishing returns? And I think we've kind of touched on this already, but I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Jeff, do you want to kick us off on this one?
Yeah, I think this is where being a specialist really comes into play because like, hey, I've worked with this type of company, nonstop for the last X amount of years. I know exactly how much frequency they need of SEO, of paid, Google ads, Facebook ads, whatever. That frequency, and you can really help them. And that's why it also, if you're, an e-commerce business owner or something like that, that's why it makes sense to hire a specialist who has helped companies just like yours, because they'll be able to help you with that, figuring out that frequency. That's extremely important because you don't want especially in the early days, you don't want any wasted budget. You can't really afford to have any wasted budget, and you have to be super efficient. So that's why, I think it really points to being a specialist as a digital marketing agency. And for all you web designers and digital marketing agencies, this is just another reason why you want to niche down and become a specialist. So you can help your clients that much more.
Yeah.
But it depends.
Aaron?
It just makes your life easier, man. Like I've done it all, in terms of like taking any project. I think most agencies, when you start, you take any work that you can get, right? That's kind of how a lot of people start. It's really rare to hear an origin story of a digital agency and they're like, oh yeah, I just had a doctor in the family and then I did another doctor project and I never took any other work. Like you definitely did a bunch of different stuff. And one of the main things that you learn along the way is, oh man, like I need to relearn this whole new client, learn their problems, learn my client's problems so that I can like make something for them. And so I think that the more you can dial that in, the easier your life will be. Like you just learn one client one time, and then you just kind of stay on top of that, and it's way easier. Again, I get more hours of sleep at night because I focus on the mental health space. I mean, it's really that simple.
Love it. Abby, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'd agree, to be honest with you. I know that getting started, there's a lot of trial and error. And I think kind of if it's a possibility to just skip that stage. I know that's why, a lot of agencies join, UGURUS, to kind of skip out the errors while setting up an agency, and to learn from others. And that's kind of going back to what Jeff and Aaron said, kind of if you can hire a specialist who knows exactly, what the best frequency is, then lean on them, kind of take that off your plate and kind of take the guesswork out.
Yeah. I would like to yes and that just a little bit more too, because I realize, as Jeff pointed out, we have like some e-commerce in here too. And so maybe kind of playing it to the corner of that. If I had another agency come to me and be like, Aaron, how frequently should I reach out to my audience? Like for whatever, insert whatever platform here. I would be like, when are they expecting to hear from you? How often would they expect to hear from you? Like you got to reverse engineer it from who you're selling to, right? So if you're running an e-commerce store, for instance, typically retail is incredibly cyclical, especially if what you're selling has anything to do with holidays and stuff like that. So working with a specialist who has worked in that space, who knows what works, will allow you to shortcut through that type of thing. But what you could do is what everybody in marketing does when they want to know more. You A/B test it. right? So run 2 campaigns at the same time, maybe run one that's a little more frequent to one half of your list and one that's a little less frequent to the other half of your list. Same tentpole content, something like that. See which one resonates more. Zero in on that, and then try it again. And you can kind of experiment. And often when we're talking about activities like this, I know a lot of agency owners kind of describe it as like putting on their, goggles and lab coat, and they go in there and they kind of like experiment with stuff and see what works. And that's useful information. So that would be my advice to agencies and e-commerce both. It's like, don't be afraid to A/B test. You don't need to be a specialist even to do that. You just need to set up, like, control all the variables and set up 2 different ways to go at it and see which one performs better.
And just to, like, in thinking about this, the reality of like the best cadence and frequency and whatnot, if you back to the very first concept of like not just focusing on leads, if your company can't handle the leads, stop generating them. Deliver on what you've already sold. Generate them more slowly. Go to a frequency that's it's got to talk to the rest of your business. Is basically what I'm saying, because we see that a lot. We've got all this stuff coming in, and now they're like, "Oh, I need to triple my team." Tripling your team will break your company if you try to do it in the next 3 days. Yes.
Yeah,
I agree, but with SEO, we can't really turn off
Fair.
we can't really turn it off. So here's what I recommend. When somebody tells me I can't do SEO, like, how are we going to handle the leads? I was like, what a perfect time to raise your prices. What a perfect time to start a waiting list.
A wait list. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, waiting list.
And become that in-demand company. Like, that's amazing. Like, what a great thing what a great problem to have. You know what I mean? To have too many leads.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially, you guys, if any of you out there are funded, we want to listen to want to pay attention, because I have found that one of the quickest ways to ending a company is when you are funded and you go full-fledged into demand generation, and nobody can handle the leads and nobody can handle the business. So keeping in mind, growth, we want to be wise about it. So love that. Any of you guys have any specific case studies around this where adjusting some frequency really did boost overall revenue?
I don't know about
we have
that.
company. Go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and I'll toss it right back to you. I don't know about that specifically, but on the note that you were just saying, Jen, I think it's really important for people to consider bottlenecks in the fulfillment pipeline of whatever they're delivering. So what I'll often do is check in with team. I have a weekly team meeting on Mondays that we all, and I love when I can keep them under 10 minutes. And then I have a check-in with each head of department on Thursdays, call them Delegation Thursdays. Why am I telling you this? Well, I check in with them frequently to see, like, hey, how you doing on workload? And I get a feel for how much each chair head can process at any given time, so that when I'm giving instruction to my sales team or the marketing team, which leads into sales, that I'm kind of keeping an eye on that flow. And it's important to realize that, like, there's a timetable to that flow too, right? So if you start the marketing, it takes a while for that to turn into sales. And then the sales takes a while to turn into billables. And the billables take a while to actually come in and hit the bank. And so you kind of want to just be cognizant of the fact of, what does your timetable look like? Like, from start to finish, soup to nuts, as I've heard some people put it. Where does that start and where does that end? So that when you make decisions that affect that flow, you're being aware of that. And as Jen puts it, if you front load too much of it, there's a time associated with headhunting new team members, getting them properly positioned, getting them properly trained. So you want to get in front of that. And that looks like your quarterly planning, right? That looks like, oh, I want to up my sales by 10%. All right, at that level, that means my people need to handle X number of projects, or my e-commerce store needs to fulfill X number of orders, which means I need Y number of people, because I've checked in and I know how much I need to fulfill that. And now you can plan for that, start the hiring process in the first month of the quarter, and stick the landing by the end of the quarter. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. What were you thinking, Jeff?
I was just going to give just a couple of examples of where we have had our clients increase their demand generation efforts. So again, we do the SEO, and we had an HVAC company out in Illinois double their investment. They didn't do it right away. We talked together. Okay, when do you kind of want to see that uptick? for the summer season when everybody's AC is going out. All right, let's increase in like January, February, because there's a long lag time with SEO, so we can kind of get ahead of the game, right? We don't want to be increasing your SEO in July when summer's halfway over. You're not going to see the fruit of that efforts until everybody's heaters going out in the middle of December and January, right? So let's start that, and the same thing for a B2B e-commerce company who also wanted to double their SEO investment. Just to kind of get ahead of that busy season, we got to do it a couple months in advance, right? We can't be doing it at the time. We just don't wait to the last minute when it comes to SEO. That's the biggest thing. So just want to throw those examples out there.
Love it. Love it. We do have some really good questions. I'm going to open up to a couple questions here, if you guys don't mind.
Fine by me.
Jamie, great. Jamie's asking, how much do you rely on Google My Business for local SEO?
Google My Business is roughly 25% of the puzzle when it comes to local SEO. We have a 4-pillar approach: website architecture.
Let me pause you for a second.
Sorry.
I love that your answer was so specific. I feel like so many times we ask questions and it's like, well, and you're like 25%. So sorry to slow your roll, but I just really loved that. Keep going, Jeff. Keep going. 25%, folks.
Yeah, well, we have a 4-pillar approach, and that's one of the 4 pillars. So each of the pillars I think is about 25% of the puzzle when it comes to SEO. So the first pillar: website architecture and user experience, authority content, inbound link landscape, and then the local signals. GBP is probably the most significant portion of that.
Love it.
Along with citations and location pages and stuff like that.
I mean, I would yes and that, and just say, like, I agree with Jeff. It's a piece. It's like, I've never heard of a business that's like, Google My Business, it drives everything. Like, that's not real. But like restaurants, like any place that, think about your own buyer experience when you're out doing stuff. When are you looking at Google My Business? For me, it's usually restaurants. I want to see the food. I want to know your hours. Oh man, it's Labor Day. Are you open? What are the reviews?
Right.
By the way, guys, if you've never done it, one of my favorite things to do is pull up Google My Business and look at like local fast food joints and like some like mom and pop restaurants, and then just click the 1 stars to read like what those reviews are. They are comedy gold.
I love that.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
We've got another question here on how do you search for potential clients? Oops, I lost it. How do you search for potential clients, or are they more inbound? I got lots of questions coming in. This beginner questions, she's saying, via which
Irene,
platform?
by the way, Irene is a web developer. I scrolled up so we can answer that based on that.
Thank you, Jeff. Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, it entirely depends on target audience. So if I was absolutely getting started and I didn't have any clients at all on the books, I'm not going to be getting inbound leads. So I need to start being proactive. I need to be networking. I need to be looking at local businesses. Any people that I know that own businesses, can they give me introductions to other people that also own businesses that need websites? And then kind of as you're building up your portfolio, as you're building up your expertise, as you're building up, kind of your authority, again, it's like my tag word of this session, and you will eventually end up in more inbound leads. So you're going to end up with more word of mouth, which is great, but also we can't just rely on word of mouth. So we really want to be making sure that we are writing authority content, that we're kind of getting featured in publications. And this is very long term, but for the minute, 100%, it's proactive, and it's doing proactive outreach. So making calls, sending emails, kind of visiting businesses, whatever it needs.
See if there's a BNI chapter in your local area.
Yeah.
BNI is amazing. You can go in for free for your first 1 or 2 visits. You'll meet business professionals in the area that are serious about networking. And I promise, even if you don't want to, go out, shake some people's hands and meet some people. It is a great way to get your business off the ground. You'll get more business that way than really anything that you try to do when you're first getting started online. People will do business with people that they've met and they trust far more quickly than a blog post they saw shared on social for like a business that has like no reputation or anything like that. It's just more bang for your buck for your time. Both are important, but actually going and meeting people and creating like a local referral network sort of sort of sourcing that and creating those opportunities is going to be one of your best ways to get off the ground. When you get bigger, then yes, absolutely. Your brand is everything. Authority is everything. You know, you want to be an industry thought leader, by the way, is like how I typically call it. I don't like the influencer thing either. So they're a thought leader, you know, they come up with a lot of stuff in the space. Yeah, that would be my answer to that one.
I would say as well, business accelerator. If you have any local business accelerator programs, join them. You know, kind of, you might learn a thing or two, but also you're going to be surrounded by businesses that are ready to grow and ready to invest as well. And there might even be grants available as well. So I've worked with a lot of agencies who have really kind of leaned into that. Who knows? I can't speak English today. But yeah, it's a great way, and just kind of really think outside the box as well, for sure. Of just like, okay, you know, there may be business accelerator programs, there may be, you know, kind of university programs that are, you know, kind of, they have a lot of businesses that are getting set up just anywhere and everywhere. But Aaron is 100% right. In person, much shorter sales cycle.
Yeah, one handshake. I've always said this. One handshake is equivalent to like 5 or 10 Zoom meetings or phone calls. So if every hand you can shake is like a really, really good thing for your bottom line. I've noticed personally.
Awesome. So we definitely have some questions in the question and answer, which I apologize, you guys. I was looking just at the chat. So we've got a lot of questions, and we only have about 13 more minutes. So, you know, I do want to ask you guys, like, all these strategies that we're talking about, right? Do you believe that, what do you believe is like the most crucial, right, business adjustment you can make when looking at or, you know, all the audience, when they're looking at their demand generation approach in order to sustain accelerated growth? Like, what are some of the crucial business adjustments?
I can jump on in. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say put dedicated time to this. So I often hear of people that are just like, oh, I'm not getting sales, I'm not growing, I'm not doing this. But how many hours every single day are you spending on growing? How many hours every single day are you spending on sales? Are you spending all your time in delivery? Are you spending it on project management? Or are you actually giving dedicated, good, solid hours to growing and scaling your business?
Yeah. Again, specificity. Specificity is everything right now. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be one of my tentpole like talking points for a while, because everybody is kind of in their own echo chamber of content. They found places, they like to read stuff. They have algorithms on Facebook, Insta, YouTube, all serving up stuff that they like. And so when you come across as broad or generic, everybody's immediately bored and disinterested.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a store, do you really know who you're selling to? I mean, do you really know them? You know, I had a client that was a ski shop up in Michigan, where I'm originally from. And I feel like they came to mind while we were talking about this to me, because they're experts at ski equipment and they spent all their time in that space, but they didn't really know who they were selling to. And if they did, you know, that's kind of like one of the superpowers that Abby can provide in terms of content writing. She would drill down with them to figure that out so that the messaging resonates with them. And every hour spent on that and you getting more specific with knowing who you're selling to, it informs everything else that you do. And so there's a multiplier effect of what happens the more you dial that in. Same with Jeff, I'm sure. Like, he's going to have a process to figure out what keywords you should be focused on. And part of that is figuring out what are your people searching for, right? So that's the number one thing. Just get specific. You might already think you're specific. And if your answer to me is I'm specific enough, I can tell you for a fact, you need to go back and hit the books, because it never ends. You're always working on it. You know, I'm always learning more about the mental health space, and I've been here for over a decade. So you don't know it yet would be my response to that. Go back and hit your books, see where you can sharpen up on it. It's the best use of your time.
Yeah, I have a really good thoughts there, y'all. One thing I want to bring up, I learned this from a guy in the chat, Brent Weaver, the organizer, the great Brent Weaver. Leading versus lagging indicators, right? So just knowing your numbers, not just for you, but also for your client, right? So a leading indicator is something like, you know, a visit to how many visitors to a website, or where you rank on Google, or something like that. And then the lagging indicators all the way down, you know, how many leads you generate, how many sales you close, right? So really dialing in and adjusting those things like an equalizer on a mixer or something like that. And, you know, hey, everything's good except for this one thing. Hey, you fix that one thing and your revenue goes to the next level. So just really knowing your numbers on your leading and lagging indicators, I think, is something that could be really helpful.
All right, guys, we got so many questions here. This is so exciting. So many. I mean, do we have 5 more hours, y'all? I don't know. But let me ask this. When looking at where we are today, given all the beauty and all the not so beauty that is human life, and specifically buying patterns, demand generation, and all of that. What emerging trends do you believe will be most influential, right, when it comes to demand generation strategies in the next few years?
AI.
Big question. AI.
I was going to jump in on AI. Yeah.
There we go.
Go for it.
Yeah, sure. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm very anti-AI in terms of content generation. It's great for other things. But yeah, I think with the proliferation of so much content, it's everywhere. There's billions of blog posts being published like every single year now, kind of in order to stand out, you really have to make it special, and you really have to be able to talk directly to your reader. Kind of,
Yes.
anybody and everybody can spin up a 10,000 word blog post with absolute garbage and just generic stuff. As Aaron said, thought leader. In order to stand out, you want to become a thought leader in your industry. And part of that is sharing unique insights, unique ideas. And that is how you stand out, aside from AI stuff. I think it's going to be, that's the big movement I see coming forward. People are already getting tired of unleash your superpowers and, kind of the very AI specific buzzwords that have come out. So yeah, quantity over quality, 100% of the time.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think AI, if you use AI to create a piece of content, it's almost the same thing as hiring like a non-specialist writer off of one of those writing platforms and saying, hey, can you write me an article about X? All they're going to do is they're going to go out there. Yeah, they're going to go out there and they're going to rephrase what's already out there, right? So I really push my clients to bring some kind of unique perspective, add a story, like some kind of case study. Without that, it's just filler, in my opinion.
Love it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Aaron, don't want to interrupt, but we are going to be ending in a couple minutes. And I just wanted to say for everybody who is watching, and I know there's a lot of questions in the question and answer, so thank you for those. If there are questions around follow-up or what's coming next, Cloudways will be answering those, just possibly not this minute. So you will get an answer. Just wanted to throw that out there. Lots of questions on how do you follow up with these companies that are presenting today with these amazing mentors. Love these mentors. And so I did pop some LinkedIn in there somewhere. I don't know where it went, but it's in there somewhere. But I've got a lot of questions. One of the questions I wanted to focus on is just big picture, y'all. We've thrown out a lot of concepts and a lot of advice and a lot of, watch for this, look for that, think about this. Going back to that initial concept of mindset, and everybody here is either a marketing manager or business owner. How have you guys managed being founders of companies and managing all these elements coming towards you on the daily, all the excitement, all of the, oh boy, I can't believe this happened. How do you guys manage that? I'd love to wrap on that.
Google Calendar.
100%.
Calendars for each thing. I mean, it's funny, but also accurate. Like, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. A lot of different days, and that might sound weird, but I'm getting things booked right now, and so it's one of the things that I feel like I'll just be brief on this, I guess, as a closing note. One of the things that I feel like most entrepreneurs can do to improve how they feel at the end of the day is to track their time, so they know what they did every day, and they can look back and make informed decisions on that, and avoid context switching, which your calendar is going to be your best friend for. So if you, as Abby said earlier, want to commit right now, you know what, that's a great idea. I love what Abby said. I'm going to spend 1 hour on marketing activities every week. Where's that hour placed? And then don't compromise it. Not because a client fire came up or you checked your email and there's something that feels kind of important. It is the most important time because no one else at your business can do that if you're the one assigned to it. So use your calendar, track your time, and then revisit that once a quarter to see what you've been doing, what worked, what didn't work, and stay organized in your calendar. Yeah.
I
Other
would say
thoughts?
don't be- Yeah,
Add
I'd say if
delegation.
you, yep, that's what I was going to say.
Get it off your plate. Get it off your plate. Delegate and elevate. Go ahead, Abby.
Yep. I was, and when you have delegated, don't jump back in. Don't be like, oh, I can just fix this. It'll take me 2 minutes. Don't do it. Just honor your time. Honor your time and spend it doing what you want to do. Because we only get one life. So we may as well spend it doing stuff that we enjoy. You know, kind of building an agency is difficult, can be lonely, can be stressful, but we're making this decision to do what we do. Let's enjoy it. Let's make the most out of it.
Yay! And we are going to wrap
Love it.
on that concept. Enjoy it, y'all. We choose this. We get to be here. We wish for this to be our reality. And we made the decision, and now we're going to make it right. Also a Brent Weaver quote. Thank you all so very much for being here, audience. Thank you so much, Jeff, Abby, and Aaron, for being here, for coming in your busy schedule. We got it on your calendar. Aaron, we got it on your calendar, and you're here. You all are beautiful humans, and this is a good life. So thank you all for being here. Prepathon is rolling on. We've got more coming up for you and some exciting talks and whatnot. So thank you all very much. Have a spectacular rest of your Prepathon day. And this is just day 2 of 3, y'all. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Have a great rest of your day, all.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
See you, everybody.
Bye.